So, okay. Well, Glenn and Krunkie, I'd like to thank you guys for taking time out of your weekend to honestly inform the comp community on some of the vision, some ideas you guys have behind the scenes. Maybe not a this won't be a town hall where we're gonna ask you questions about like, oh yeah, what time is ranked coming out, or like when is the, like bug reports and stuff. This will be more of like a town hall into kind of getting like an inside picture of the vision that Forever has for Krunker as a whole, and then Krunker Comp specifically that we're in. So I guess we can just start off with Glenn. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I think a lot of people already know me, but I lead the core technology team in FRVR. I've been stepping into Krunker for the last couple of months. I'm probably not going to be hanging around long term. Krunky definitely will though. When I pass to him, he can let you know. Right now, I'm just managing IO, so I've been pushing a lot of the comp stuff that's going through. I'm quite partial to it, which is why we wanted to make it happen. But at some point, I am going to go back to core technology, which is where we kind of build all the infrastructure, services, and tools in the company. Not a lot used by Krunker. Obviously, as you know, though, there's been a bunch of infrastructure changes since December that have been rolling out, which has been my team. But I tend to stay away from like actual game programming on Krunker. I leave that to better engineers like Krunky, who are much better than I am at that. And then probably over the next couple months, I'll be veering off back into the sunset and moving away from IO again. But I'm really enjoying it at the moment, that's for sure.
All right, and I think yeah, most of the community has gotten really familiar with you in the past couple months. We see you all the time in Krunker Bunker and KPC NAC always, so appreciate it. Glad that you're enjoying it. Very unique to hear that someone is enjoying it. I always feel like the devs and everybody from these companies get scared off. So, well,
I
Krunky,
don't
would you
think you
like?
guys are too bad.
Yeah. Well, Krunky, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. So I'm Krunkie. I'm part of the FRVR engineering team. I was a lead engineer for another project in the company, like year or something. I've been in the company for over 3 years now. Yeah, I've worked a lot with Krunker. I am now part of the Krunker IO team, and yeah, like Glenn said, I am gonna try to the best of my abilities to fill in his shoes. And I've been slowly getting introduced to a lot of different parts of the Krunker IO community. Yeah, I focus mostly on gameplay. I am a former esports player. I had a short-term pro career, like 2 years or something. Um, yeah, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and that sounds good. I remember you told me about like the amount of like games you played professionally. It's pretty or not professionally, but like the amount of competitive games you've been involved with, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I guess we can go into our first topic since we have a good amount of people here, and I guess it's kind of like going around like the big vision behind like competitive Krunker that you guys kind of have for us. So, Glenn.
Yes, that is fairly open ended. So I'll start and you can just kind of poke me with questions. Right now, it's mostly just about acknowledging comp first party. Like, even in the prior ranked implementation, not the first iteration, but the one everyone or most people know, which is Faceit. I know there's one prior to that, was third party, which makes it quite inaccessible for users that aren't willing to like engage with a third party in the first place, right? It leaves out a lot of first party integrations, like in Faceit, for example, KPD couldn't join, and that's a significant part of the game and the community. So right now, it's mostly just about acknowledging it in general, bringing ranked back, bringing leaderboards into the game, acknowledging anti-cheat and such, right? Like those the client things we've been discussing, uh, making the game mechanically better, whether that's like server improvements, which we've been experimenting with you guys. Thanks a lot, by the way. Hitbox improvements, which you have Krunky to thank for, and things like this. So there's not really like a huge, large vision, like 5 years down the line at the moment. It's basically just getting back on the rails, which is bringing some sort of competitive scene into the game. Now, first of all, for us, that's ranked. That's pretty much where that begins. Once you have ranked, you can start fostering a more competitive environment in the game via other like macro systems and such. Leaderboards, first party tournaments in the game, weeklies, whatever, like it's kind of all open at this point. That's where we're starting with though, and for us it's right now just the next couple months is really trying to like nail in like a ranked system. We've gone a bit over the top with it. Like the infrastructure and stuff is maybe slightly over engineered, but it works really well. We are going to have to figure out, there's a lot of things we have to figure out, which is why we're doing an open beta. There's just things we need data on, like in order to get a good rank distribution, for example. We're just going to need to see where people end up in MMR and such. Like we don't know where gold should be at the moment. We don't know where platinum should be, or whatever you want to call those ranks at them, right?
Yeah.
So there's no like grand scheme we have for comp in general right now. It's honestly just like get the game back on track with it and bring it into the game so that we can control it on a much better feature, like integration into the game. So like I mentioned, bringing KPD and stuff in and kind of engaging with the game's surrounding features and hopefully bring a lot more flexibility on how those features can look and different queue types or whatever, right? Faceit was really good for the game. I enjoyed it. I did play it. But the only disadvantage having a third-party integration like that has is like you kind of are constrained then by the third party. Like you can't. Faceit had very justified reasons that KPD couldn't get called in, for example, right? That's probably like the biggest one I'm going to keep citing. But that's a really good example of like a feature that's Krunker specific that can't. That a lot of other games don't have, but that can't be engaged with when we're building other systems. So we've gone a bit full out at the moment. We've built all the infrastructure and stuff. We've been leveraging the work that's been happening since last December, November, to like spin up lobbies, ad hocs, like spin up servers for lobbies to sit in a comp environment on fast computers, fast servers, and then have them like execute themselves after the game's ended and so. So there's been a lot of work just building the infrastructure for that because Krunker didn't have any of it prior. It really wasn't set up for this sort of thing. We're also bringing a lot of the faceit code back, so like the game was just missing. Like it had deleted all of the old features, and some of it is just basic features like being able to like forfeit a game, right? Like it was fully removed in comp. At least the way it was implemented back in Faceit was. So yeah, I don't think there's like a grand vision we have to like talk about in regards to comp. For me, it's just to bring it, like start acknowledging it and bring it back in the first place, starting with ranked. And I'm hoping that like as a byproduct of that, we can like start experimenting, like the game designers in the company can start ideating a little bit with what features can sort of exist after we have some data and we understand how the community engage with it and so on. And I'm hoping that things like leaderboards and stuff can sort of like foster certain environments. I'm really curious. Like, so we're going to have regional leaderboards, for example. I'm really curious to see where like people sit on NA versus EU or whatever, right? So I think I'm hoping that in a way there's going to be more competitiveness driven out of this. But these are all like really rudimentary ideas we have at the moment. Like, there's no grand 10-year vision. Well, maybe there is. Nothing I'm going to talk about here though, because there's no promises to be made on that stuff. But yeah, for now we just want ranked back in the game. We want leaderboards in the game. We want to be able to start having or leverage some of the services we have to build like weeklies and stuff and start experimenting with that, bringing ranked challenges and so on, right? Ranked rewards, that whole thing. Hopefully, and there's probably an open-ended question we'll discuss with Asokra and the admins in the future is like where KPC and NAC fit into this. A lot of people have been asking me before, like how that happens. Like, do these communities stop existing? I think they'll only get bigger. Because the thing is KPC and NAC sit environment like systematically quite different. Like you're essentially scrimming, which is something we're not going to have in the game, at least for a long time. So in that regard, and there are big competitive games, CS, Valorant, League of Legends, Dota, like any comp game, they still have their giant communities with, in some cases, millions of people participating in like LAN stuff or scrims or whatever, right, online. So it doesn't, they can coexist, is my point. But hopefully, with ranked, it'll bring casual players or lower level players or new players like into that environment a little easier. So that's something we're like really looking forwards to, is how can we bring, or is it going to be engaging for like newer users or lower level users or more casual users? Like, are they going to engage with these features, and are they going to be able to like start getting engaged with the Krunker competitive scene?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that answer a lot. And I guess tying into some of your points, you did reference Face It up a little bit. Are we going to see Krunker ranked in the similar format of Face It, where it is like 4v4 hardpoint, you get a queue into other players, or maybe even potentially duo queue? Or is it going to be
Yeah.
something different? Okay.
For now, Krunker will be a solo queue only. This is specifically a beta constraint, so we might change that in the future. So that's not locked in, but just for the sake of getting data, we just want solo queue. Like, we don't want to. The reason, by the way, is we don't want to split the queue, right? So if we have a beta constraint and we need data, we can't have 50% of the community queuing 4v4 and 50% of the community queuing solo queue, because now like queues might get slowed down or whatever, right? Like, we don't know how many users we can expect, but we do have the ability to enable twos, threes, fours, whatever. It's going to be 4v4. So it's not 1v1, by the way. When I say solo queue, I mean you're solo queuing into a 4v4 game. So it's very similar to how KPC and NAC play at the moment. It's not, you can chill out. It's not, I'm
Yeah,
not talking about 1v1.
I think chat just got a little crazy when you said
Yeah,
solo queue
yeah,
there.
yeah.
We thought it was 1v1 queue for some
Yeah,
reasons.
no, it's solo queuing into a 4v4 game. It is the same like comp that you're used to in KPC and NAC. So it is the comp preset in Krunker at the moment. There might be changes we make to it in the future. If there are, it'll be KPC and NAC involved in making those changes. But for now, it's, yeah. So that's like the modified version of Hardpoint, right? And then you'll be, yeah. So it's going to be quite like meta system wise, fairly simple. You still pick classes. You're not going to be able to draft maps. Like, we are going to make it so that you're randomly, like, there's going to be a map pool, a fixed map pool, which right now will be the current comp map pool. But again, for the set, like, I'm aware other FPS games that you pick and queue into a map. We're not picking and queuing into maps for the same reason. We're not going to let people duo, triple, or 4v4 queue. We don't want to split the queues. And we don't want a bunch of people like randomly, like gravitating to one map either. So for now, for the beta, big badge on this, by the way, this is beta. It's going to be, you solo queue in, you will be randomly delegated a map out of the comp rotation, and then you're going to be playing 4v4 hardpoint the same way that you have been in KPC and NEC.
Okay. I guess also tying into some other points about competitive Krunker, one thing that really brought a lot of people, I guess, excited in chat and even on the Twitch stream was the idea behind tournaments. So what does tournaments look like for Forever? I know Faceit had a small stint with tournaments and it was very loosely managed and a lot of players would say it's very messy, like the integration and stuff. What's kind of like the plan behind tournaments, whether like, will we like see the tournaments in game as like a casual player and then you get to like kind of watch the stream on the UI, or like what's kind of like the vision behind that? Is it more ranked focused for the first couple months of competitive for you guys, or is it more like, kind of like an even split?
Ranked is definitely our focus at the moment. Like, tournaments aren't going to be first party tournaments, at least aren't like integrated in the game, aren't going to be coming for a little while. There are bigger priorities. Like, for one, it's going to be bad enough with cheaters and stuff in ranked, so we need to address anti-cheat before we start rolling out tournaments, right? Like, that's a given, and we don't want people to be having poor tournament environments. Like, we can justify working on anti-cheat whilst the beta for ranked goes out, because of we need ranked data. We need to see with the ranked distribution and such. We need statistics on it so that we can roll it out season 1 ranked or whatever you want to call it. We can work on anti-cheat in the meanwhile. But tournaments is like, yeah, it's kind of like a whole feature set in itself. I mean, like, there are some that again, there's a lot of comp games that exist in the world with super shit tournament integrations. Every Riot game ever has the worst tournament integration in the world, compared to Dota, which has the best tournament integration I've ever seen, like with full spectating, full casting tools, analytics tools in game, like you buy a ticket in game, whatever. So it kind of depends where you want to land on that spectrum, or how what you even mean by tournament. I think like you can have like, for example, if we wanted to do weeklies where you just get a skin reward at the end of it, I'm fairly certain we could roll that out in a couple of days. Like that's not a lot of work for us. We already have the services for it. But then if you want to be able to spectate those games, or depending on what tournament format you want to follow, whether you have losers bracket or not, for example, like how hyper casual do you want to make it? Are there runner-up rewards? Like, do you want people to spectate those? Should those tournaments be ticketed? Should they have payouts? Like, there's so much stuff to like talk about there. I think you would probably see at some point this year, like weeklies or monthly tournaments with like skin rewards, for example, and maybe the big tournaments that you're used to are going to be remaining managed how they are at the moment, with potentially with help or involvement from FRVR going forwards. But that's something to talk to Asokra about. But then how that integrates into the game is like it's an open-ended question, to be honest. So for now, it's just ranked. Like I want a really, really, really solid ranked implementation down, and then I want a really solid client and anti-cheat down. So we're hoping that can be kind of roadmapped as a priority post-ranked. And I only give a shit about that. Like after that, I don't mind what people do. Like you can do tournaments or whatever, but yeah, that's right now as the focus for the next few months.
Okay, and with ranked coming in and Krunker as a game hasn't really seen much gameplay changes in the last, 2 to 3 years. I guess a lot of players in the community are kind of curious about some gameplay changes you guys are potentially adding, maybe, not just weapon balancing, but like, the game as a whole. Any ideas? I know we've seen a lot of stuff with servers and hitboxes recently in Krunker Bunker, but I guess kind of going into more detail or as much detail as you can give us, obviously, about kind of like the vision behind some of the gameplay changes we're seeing and some of the ideas going on in the background.
Yeah, so the things like 30 tick rate and hitboxes, you basically have Krunkie and his team of engineers to thank for that. They had a version of the game where this was implemented, and we could essentially just copy and paste it in, which was great. Now, the reason we want to push that in IO is because of, I mean, this might be a hot topic, but I, for one, disagree with the fact that there is a casual and a comp preset for things like move speed and hitboxes. So we are intending, now this might change, this is kind of based on how things go forwards. But I've already spoken this a little bit. Like we're intending the new hitboxes to be both casual and comp. Like I don't want a separate thing. And then one thing we really want to do is comp movement in casual as well. Like we cannot be working on two versions of the same game. Now the biggest problem people have with this in general, and it is really respectable, I completely appreciate the concern, is that this effectively makes it more difficult for casual players. And to that, I would say, yeah, you're probably right, except for like those problems for casual players shouldn't be addressed by making the game mechanically worse. Like there are other ways of addressing getting new players up to speed with the game, getting them better, having them queue into people similarly levels, and so and so. So like there's other systems we can experiment with. Like we're not constrained to just let's make hitboxes fucking massive. Like that's just dumb. The things like move speed and stuff we have to be careful with because of when we talk about changing the core game movement and stuff, that then affects all custom maps and so, right? Like the default settings in the editor and all that. So we're going to tread really, really carefully with that stuff. But hitboxes, for example, will roll out to both casual and comp. And then we're just going to feel out. Like we've been playtesting not just with the comp guys, but we've had casual playtesting as well. And it's only been positively received for the most part. I know like there's some feedback here and there which we've looked at. Like for example, now hitboxes grow when moving and such. And that's in playtest. That's in playtest this weekend actually. So yeah, the main focus for now, before we start thinking about like big gameplay changes, is to basically unify casual and comp. That's what I want, at least. Whether it manifests that way, we'll see. But that's the direction we're heading. And then tick rate and stuff you mentioned is essentially purely experimental. The way tick rate is implemented in this game is I'm not going to take like last time. I'm conscious of the fact that I turned this too much of it into an engineering talk, so I'm not going to do that again. But the way tick rate is implemented is really we have to be really careful with it. I personally believed, and I've said this to everyone, that I thought that if we up to the tick rate, that no one would notice, and we have changed the tick rate whilst you guys have been playing before, and none of you noticed. So it's like a rocky relationship with the tick rate and stuff in particular. Like we currently have a test with new hitboxes and new tick rate, and then we made some other changes around like projectile speed and stuff and how they appeared to make the game just feel nicer, like a bit more tight. So that's the current experiments. But hitboxes, I guarantee, are going out. 30 tick rate are like we want it to go out, but we don't want it to be a priority over ranked at the moment. So it's sort of like a test going on the side with one or two of the engineers, where if it can be done, then we'll roll it out with season 8. But we're not going to prioritize it. Like it doesn't make to us, and I think to you guys, hitbox has made a bigger difference than the tick rate did. And the amount of work to up the tick rate is not just changing one number. We have to fix the game interpolation and everything. So yeah, it might be out for season 8. It will definitely go out at some point, but it's basically like a side project for us at the moment, and we're really appreciative of the fact that you guys have been helping test that. Now, once all that stuff's done, we have like one basic foundation of the game where things aren't just fundamentally broken, right? At least in regards to like hitboxes and stuff. Then what we probably want to look at is like really looking at classes properly. I know Krunkie has some things he might want to talk about here in regards to he's spoken to us internally and Asokra about like, for example, how classes kind of fit in comp rotation in general. There's a lot of people that are a lot of classes that aren't available in comp or aren't viable, or they're gimmick classes and so on, right? And Krunkie's got a lot of things he would like to experiment with regarding that. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, Krunkie, for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so like we are all aware that there's currently some problems with the current comp system where some classes, for example, have to just be banned outright for every single game because it make the game unplayable, right? There's obviously problems with how the rocketeer works. There's problems with, I believe that also the shotgun is currently banned in your comp games internally. And like, obviously that is not something that is ideal to us. We would like to have the game in a state where people can play the same things in comp that they have available to them in pub games. However, we are also aware that there's a lot of classes that currently cannot fit the comp environment in their current state. So like we would have to look at every single one of those. We would have to make sure that we are making the necessary adjustments so that they can exist in that environment, even if that means just changing classes completely in the way they work, the guns themselves, the HPs, the movement. Like there might be some classes that are just they're not able to be fit in any way in their current shape. So we just have to totally reshape them from the ground up. That's something that we are available to do. Like we are not closing doors on that. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's most of it.
Yeah,
the current system is problematic, and we have to look into it. We have a lot of ideas internally, and yeah, we are currently discussing it internally what we're gonna do, and you guys can hope for proper attention and detail being taken into that area of the game.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to ask a little bit. I know you talked about weapons and some of like the reworking and shaping up classes again. Are we going to expect to see those changes maybe as like a long-term kind of thing? Or are we going to see like a bunch of these classes being fixed up with the beta alongside ranked?
no, this is long term for sure, right? Like
Yeah.
let's just clear something up real quick. the game has got engineers assigned to it now, and it's got a decent amount of them. Not a lot. There's maybe like 6 engineers, a couple game designers, and so and so, and it is all on IO, right? Like prior to that, it was there was only a couple, and now it's all focused on IO. We can just like roll out changes on a daily basis if need be. No, maybe we won't do a daily basis just to prevent restarting servers, but like we can be a lot more iterative with changes now in general, right? Like this isn't just weapons and stuff. So that means if we wanted to be like, if we, for example, made a mistake in class balance, we can roll it back. Like we don't have to wait 6 months or whatever before we see the next weapon balance.
Yeah, but it's definitely going to be an ongoing effort. Like game balance just has to be a thing that is always continuously changing and shifting, right? Also because no one wants to be in the same meta for like 6 months. Like this is something that we can observe from other games. You know, like no one wants to be playing the same guns in the same way, like every single day, time after time. Yeah. So like, and also we cannot just rebalance the whole game in one patch and just call it a day. Like it's very likely that we're going to just roll out like class by class on maybe a weekly basis. Like I don't know the exact time frames, obviously, but like we cannot just change everything in the game. We have to make sure that we are fitting the classes slowly. We are changing guns like in a way that makes sense, and like we give. It's also very important, at least in my opinion, that we let players adapt to the meta. Like if you do a change that considerably shakes up the meta, you need to wait for players to find solutions instead of just going out and just nuking out of orbit anything that might be looking like obviously like when players grab something new, there's going to be new strategies coming up, new weapons are going to be the highlight of the meta, right? But it's like there's the whole process of letting the community discover for themselves what's good, what isn't, and like let everyone experiment. And it is also important because we want to take a more database approach as well to balance. Like we need to make sure that we're looking into like weapon usages, win rates, what are the top players using, what are the bottom players using, right? We don't just want to go by feel. So yeah, we need to be more careful about these things. I am aware that in the past a lot of balance changes have been done, but just like feeling in general, and there might not have been too much thought put into them. So that's something that we want to fix.
Okay. And I guess regarding like metas and stuff, this might be a little bit more, I guess like a question that you guys haven't came around yet, but are we going to see like a more like when you guys aim for having metas in this game, are we going to see like one class being really strong and other classes kind of playing around it, or are we going to see like a meta or plans with the meta being where all classes are kind of like on equal footing and you can have really unique setups, you can have one team run completely different gun selections and be fine?
I
Um,
mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Do you
I
want to
mean,
go ahead, Glenn, or do you want me to?
I don't want one class being worked around, right? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like this isn't a hero
yeah, go ahead.
shooter, and so
Yeah. Like
yeah,
so,
that's not going to
ideally,
be
we
the
would
case.
go with the second option that you gave us.
Second option.
The like, yeah, things will just be balanced across the board, and like players
That
can pick and choose maybe things that are more adjusted to their like preferred play style. There's obviously also things that are map dependent. Like if you're playing in a map that is just like a lot of short corners and things like that, short range weapons will obviously be better in that map, right? Like if you're in a scenario where you're playing on a map that basically has no long sections and still a long range weapon is the best gun in that map, there's obviously a problem there. So like, yeah, there's all those sort of things to be aware of. But sorry,
Yeah,
you
and
were saying, Glenn?
you can aim for like a general global balance,
Yeah,
impossible, but to the best of your ability, and still have
sure.
specific team compositions that are meta, right? Like it,
Yeah,
not necessarily one class in particular being worked at, but like maybe playing these specific classes on these specific maps is particularly good. Like there's still going to be, we still want to allow for like expression for team compositions and stuff. Like at the end of the day, we are prioritizing 4v4. Um, so yeah, and I think that's mostly going to be like the community will find a way of doing that anyway. But there's, yeah, just to be clear, we are not aiming for like a hero shooter where it's like everyone, like you have people supporting a carry, right? That's not the case.
yeah, and like it's the metas are bound to be defined by the communities, right? Like communities are
Yeah.
the ones that define the metas. So
And before we make a fucking medic class, and now people are healing.
oh god, no. That's not on my plans.
A bunch of medics healing an LMG. That's not what we
Yeah.
intend.
No, no.
Yeah, and I guess tying into my final point regarding that, I guess a little bit more of a specific question, but kind of curious on what your guys' thoughts are with, some of the kill streaks in the game. We have, kill streaks are very popular among public matches. You'll see nukes and you'll see the war machine or the grenade launcher being used commonly, but will we see an implementation or like, bringing ideas from kill streaks in public matches to comp, or will we see kind of like the other way around where we see less kill streaks in the game, or is this just something you guys haven't kind of thought
That's
about?
interesting because we've thrown a lot of ideas around like that. I'm not going to say anything about what we've discussed because I feel like people in the community are going to be like, "Oh my god, they're adding this." Um, we have discussed a lot of that stuff in the past. I don't know. Like that's not anything that's going to happen in the next few months, right? So, but maybe I don't know if you guys want it. Let us know. I'd be really curious to see what people think about that. I don't really like the idea of kill streaks in comp personally, but it doesn't mean that there can't be something that sort of swings favor for teams or one way or the other. I don't know though, but I think like I really like how comp games play out at the moment. I'm actually quite like I enjoy it a lot. I think it's good pace, and I don't think it should be changed too much in regards to like the duration of a game is something we're gonna have to like strongly consider, right? And kill streaks and stuff can affect that drastically. I mean, and we also don't want like the problem with kill streaks is if in ranked, for example, you've got one person that's particularly good, like it shouldn't remain completely one-sided. Like that's just insane. And you pretty much solidify that. Like even in now, one thing I'm super against is like comeback mechanics. So we're not going to do that. But like, yeah, kill streaks would favor like smurfing, right, on ranked games and all sorts of problems you now have to consider with ranked specifically. What preset you guys use for KPC and NAC is up to you, but yeah, I don't know. That's not. I think we need like a whole. That's like a whole separate topic and discussion when it comes to that in comp games. For now, I'm just gonna say they're not happening.
Yeah, I think I agree with most of it. Like at this in their essence, kill streaks are a win more mechanic, right? But like if you're killing in a streak a whole bunch of enemy players, you're already winning. So if we reward you on top of that with kill streaks, you're basically just winning more artificially, right? And so like Glenn said, we don't want to do comeback mechanics, but at the same time, we also don't want to make like stomp the enemy team too hard mechanics. But I will say that like if you manage to nuke in comp, my personal inclination would be that you should be allowed to nuke in comp because you got 25 kills in a row, right? But
I mean, you've already won at that point, though, right? Like,
but I'm very skeptical of having kill streak in comp, like Glenn said. Yeah. They're not coming for now.
Okay. And I was kind of curious. I know you, Glenn, you said you personally really liked how comp games kind of flow out right now. We currently have like a round system where all the points you get from the prior round, you just take the score. Like if you won the round, you'll just keep that round instead of keeping the score. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And if there's any plans of changing that or kind of just keeping the same old philosophy for now until you guys maybe look at it in the future?
yeah, for now, everything's going to stay as it is in regards to comp. I mean, like, it's a lot of the old faceit system being brought back in regards to how the game flows, which is just the comp preset that you guys play when we say that. And so, like, with some added things like being able to forfeit, for example, the and special KBD calls. But for now, we're not going to touch any of that. It will definitely be looked at, but like we just want to like I said at the start, bring things back on the rails, and I don't think we need to shake up all of us. Like at the same time, we're rolling out ranked, start also testing and rolling out changes to the comp game mode, and how that works systematically. Like we kind of need it to be as impartial as possible. Like our ideal situation is you guys are just queuing up on there and having a similar experience, but like you get into queues much faster. and it reflects on your profile. And then hopefully you don't have to worry about your tier 1, tier 2 systems because our matchmaking function will figure that out for you. But there will be changes to comp stuff in the future, whether that's game mode. I know Krunkie in particular has like every time we're ranked playtesting internally, he's only complaining about things like, but it's more like where stuff sits on the UI, right? Like there's a lot of invisible shit like to new players. So that'll be the stuff we address first, probably, as opposed to like system changes in comp, and then maybe at some point we look at system changes in comp. Also, like one thing we were looking at is like, should it be hardpoint? That's kind of a question to you guys. I like it a lot. I think it works perfectly for Krunker, but we're not locked into that, you know. So I'm super partial to it. There. Yeah, but I so badly want 1v1s. So badly want 1v1s. There's basically zero justification for it. It's like purely an ego game mode, but oh my god, I so badly want 1v1s. So we're not like locked into anything in particular. For now, though, it's really like, let's not change too much. Let's just get comp games running in a ranked matchmaking system, right?
Okay, yeah, and I agree with you guys. I also like 1v1s a lot, but yeah, there's a lot more underlying problems, such as the fact that if you spectate or if you watch a pro player like maybe ceaf or duprious, you won't see a single gun model or anything and kind of don't know what's going on. So um, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
there's definitely a question when it comes to like the spectator ability of the game when you talk about comp and stuff. But I think that's more of like a Twitch spectator thing, because in-game spectating we can address that. But as an interesting point you bring up around like being able to view gun skins or whatever, like I speak to Asokra about this a lot, but like Krunker's in this weird, unique situation where FPS games should be the easiest thing to watch competitively. They should be, because you shouldn't need to understand the game. Like, if you take a brand new person to a CS LAN, like, at the very least, they can appreciate their clicking on the head, right? But whereas in a MOBA game, it's like, you just wouldn't understand what the fuck's going on. Krunker, like, doesn't have that as an FPS game, because it's all custom UI. Like, people running third-party clients with mods and all sorts of shit and hiding models and whatever. And, you know, you watch a lot of comp people and there's fuck all on their screen. Like, you just see a crosshair. And that doesn't make it a good experience as a spectator game. So we're definitely going to, like... I've taken a lot of feedback from KPC and NAC admins and stuff about spectator ability and spectator features. That'll definitely be looked at some point. But yeah, I don't know. We can't really change that either because it's so ingrained in Krunker culture, right? Like, we're not going to just remove mods. There's no way. So I don't know. That's another interesting point you bring up, like where that sits competitively. But I think the easy way of addressing it is you make a good comp spectator system, right? So
yeah, like I think that if our players feel the need to disable every single element of the UI to be able to play the game, then that just means that the UI is not been properly done, right? And that we need to look into it, because like that's not the ideal scenario for anyone.
Yeah, it should be like important information that you want to see. Granted, maybe guns is doomed, right? Like, they're just never going to want to see that because it takes up.
I mean, if you have a pretty skin, why wouldn't you like to look at it? Right?
That's true. But yeah, to me, the solution to a lot of that problems is give the community what they want in regards to spectating systems. Because if people are broadcasting games via a spectating system, then you'll see all of that stuff, right? So
yeah, and I was kind of curious. You guys talked a lot about customization. What's kind of like the philosophy for you guys look going forward in the next 6 months? I know you guys talked about making it easier for spectators to look at the game and kind of understand a little bit, but outside of just spectating, there's just like 50 different features that you can just tweak individually inside Krunker. Is Krunker going to be heading into a more like era where there's going to be more customizations that you can do, or is it going to be a little bit more like reserved when it comes to the customizations and maybe going back on some of the old features that Yendis might have added?
I honestly don't know. We'll see. The thing is like the community of Krunker has like a suspicious amount of technically inclined people. Like, there is every other person is a software engineer apparently. and that means that they are prone to wanting to customize things or make clients or make mods or whatever. And then another thing is like it's so built into the game. You literally have presets that change entire settings, right? Like the pro preset, for example. So honestly, I'm not sure, but I think this is where we go back into kind of what Krunkie hinted at, where like if those things need to be changed, then they're probably originally just not that good. I don't think we'll impede on customizability. I think that's good. I think it's interesting, and I really like seeing what people do. There will definitely be a question about how that happens in ranked going forwards, because of and that's something we can discuss later. But the customizability in general, we don't want to stop, and we'll probably just have to revise the default settings, if anything, because if everyone has to change to pro to like have the game somewhat playable, then it probably should just be, it's the default stuff I'd be more concerned about.
Yeah, I think a good starting point is just to make sure that, like, we obviously will still want to allow some degree of customization, also because customization is very important. Customization is very important for accessibility features. So, for example, if you're colorblind, we either provide you with already pre-made things that allow you to play the game if you're colorblind, or we need to give you the option to change them so that you can play the game, right? Like by changing colors of certain UI elements and stuff.
That's a really good point, because I know some third-party clients have been banned and stuff before because of the changing certain settings. Now, I don't believe that they were changing them with good intentions. However, it probably warrants a TOS review as well, like changing TOS to reflect that, so people can have, like you say, accessibility clients. I know that there's some people that have like had really good intentions with changing settings before on clients, and then they've been like permanently banned or told it's TOS right. So, yeah, that's probably the first major feature set that'll be changed with settings, I guess. I'd never really thought about that properly, but accessibility is definitely a big one.
Yeah, right. Basically.
Okay, and I think yeah, a lot of good stuff regarding gameplay changes and just kind of like your overall philosophy with the game. I think we're in a really I think the entire community is pretty satisfied with those answers. I know just speaking for myself, like it's nice to see that you guys won't just turn the dial without, briefing or kind of, getting the feedback on it. So that's definitely really good to hear. So I guess we
It's not
can,
like, yeah, I mean, it's easier for us. I think like a lot of the community are happy to help. A lot of them are probably getting a bit sick of me of asking. I know ceaf ghosts me quite a lot nowadays, but it favors us to have people involved and like help test and play test things, right? So
Yeah, like there's not really a better way to, or rather, there's no better QAs than the players, right? Players will find all sorts of different problems with your game, and if we manage to have a good relationship between all of us, where you guys can just provide us your feedback and we can act upon it, it just makes things easier for everyone. So we definitely want to have a good relationship with all of you.
Can I ask like one important question, or maybe like something I'm personally like I want to ask?
Go for it.
Oh, sure.
So, knowing Krunker Strike, for example, and knowing Krunker as IO like free-to-play initiative, or like how the game works, I want to ask like what are like your like primary strategies for monetizing the game in future seasons, and how do you like plan to balance that like monetization with like a positive player experience?
that's a good question. It's probably not super suitable for these guys, but the TLDR is right now there's currently a lot of balancing happening to both things like KR value and stuff like this, the bundle qualities and so on. We're not going to make any like too big moves there at the moment, but there's probably going to be like better offers for new players and stuff, for example, and existing, but primarily new players, and much better quality of bundles and stuff going forwards. KR rebalancing, but one of the biggest parts of monetization for us is black market stuff, and that's all being addressed at the moment as well. So it's yeah, we'll see. But there's already a lot of work being done on that at the moment.
I assume that
It's
an underlying part of this question was like a potential worry about if Krunker will ever become pay to win.
yes.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, I assume that was the point of the question.
Right,
And the
Because
answer is
I
no.
mean, I get it, right? There's a way to like, there's a
No,
way
no,
for
no,
monetization, but at least
no.
keep it not pay to win.
No. Don't worry.
Yeah, look, it would
will never
make
be.
very little sense for us to make so much emphasis on bringing back comp or ranked and like trying to make it the best experience possible for you guys to play ranked, and then immediately after make it pay to win, right?
Yeah.
Maybe funny entry fee for ranked. That
Yeah,
would be fun.
so that's not the goal. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no, don't
I
worry.
can also tell you that like a lot of the members of the development team are like avid gamers, like myself, and we all hate pay to win. So we don't want it to happen.
All right.
Yeah, you're in good hands, don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
But I'm just want to take the chance to like so Asokra, as the community and chat made aware, or at least it's what I understood, that like we would eventually answer chat questions.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, because like I'm seeing a lot of people asking if we're ever gonna answer questions that are in chat. So
I think
I just
yeah,
want to put that out there. Like we will eventually.
a couple of
So
them are.
you can all calm down.
Yeah, I know Glenn really talked to me about not having this call just be like, oh, like let us change mod and comp preset because that's like a really like, like you'll just say yes to that. Kind of having more open-ended questions so you can really kind of know the vision, kind of know like the plans, really like the big picture that most people really care about. So yeah, we will have
Yeah.
that at the end, of course. So and actually, I actually got DM'd this from a couple people. We'll go into a couple common questions that I know will get asked by multiple people. Regarding gameplay changes, a lot of the high level players, and even some pub stompers DM me about ADS power, and if you guys know much about ADS power within Krunker, and the fact that if you have a sniper currently, you can basically use it like Quake, where you ADS and it's
Yeah.
So am I
Um,
allowed to answer this question?
yeah, but we are making no changes to this
okay.
for now. But yeah, you can answer.
Yeah.
Your
So like
personal
the key,
opinion. Disclaimer, by the way.
yeah. So like the key point here is like for now, like as we said before, we don't want to bring too much like changes to the game in terms of like how the gameplay works right now when we're rolling out ranked, right? But like if we feel like ADS power is a problematic thing for the game, that will obviously we have to look into. I assume that you're talking specifically about the fact that you can right now use a sniper without zooming in with the sniper and just use it as a normal weapon.
Yep. And you can just kind of like tweak it out with every gun, right? You can have an AK really
Yeah.
zoom in like a sniper in some ways and then all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like as Glenn said, this is a personal opinion of mine. I don't like that in the game. But I am flexible to the point of like allowing players to decide their own zoom values for when ADSing with different weapons. However, I am also of the opinion that the sniper should be an exception to that rule. Like I
Yeah,
don't think
I
you should be
share that
allowed to use a
opinion, by the way.
sniper like you use an assault rifle.
The thing is ADS like it's so yes, ceaf. It was your suggestion. Don't worry, pal. We heard you. The ADS is like a big part of like a weapon. I don't know, system, fantasy, expression. I don't know what the word is for it, but like sniper should obviously ADS. Like, come on, guys. The
Yeah.
But we're not going to change any of that stuff at the moment. I understand there have been changes in the past that have been quite controversial, which have left a lot of people pretty rustled before. We're not changing any of that stuff at the moment. And if we did, and when we look into this stuff, it will be community driven. So it's not like you guys aren't going to be the one. If you'll just say no, then no. The thing is like it's another thing where we go back to like there's this weird Krunker exclusive culture on this stuff where like no other game would tolerate that ever, but like it's been around in Krunker for so long that like it's now just so ingrained in the community that if we remove it or change it, everyone gets upset. Now in a way that's sort of nice because it's like, oh, the game's quite unique, But on the other hand, it's like, bro, what are we doing? You know, like there's a reason other games aren't doing it. But I think for some weapons, like Krunkie suggested, it just makes absolutely no fucking sense. Like snipers
Yeah.
should be scoping, and I personally believe that it would be an interesting way of like balancing classes by enforcing certain things like that, where you're not actually changing fire rate or recoil or damage or health or speed or whatever the fuck. You're only changing ADS, and I think that we would see like pretty significant changes in class viability based on that.
Yeah, and
No,
I
yeah,
think
I think that, like, sorry, I just want to say like, or I want to preface one thing, which is like Glenn said, there's things currently in the game, that for better or worse are part of the game, and I think we just need to do a case by case analysis on this, because like for example, I know that slide hopping is a massive component of the game and of the skill expression of the game. However, the current state of slide hopping happens due to a bug in the code, but we are not fixing that bug, because fixing that bug would artificially decrease the skill ceiling of the game. And so I think that that bug happened, sure, but it's a good thing. So like that one is staying. But like if the ADS sniper thing is problematic, we need to look into it. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
I remember the 0.1 ADS change, so I'm like, you know, I'm well aware
I've
of how the
heard
community
stories.
sees ADS changes.
I think like the main concern regarding ADS changes, right, is back in the day when it was one ADS, there was a couple guns that were just kind of terrible to use. I mean, FAMAS took a lot of skill back then. You would only see like two or three one burst max per game, but now with zero ADS, artificially kind of controlling that recoil and everything makes it where like a lot of these guns are easier to use, and maybe that can be something tying into, maybe just balancing a weapon could be just the fact that the weapon has some zooming to it, so it adds a little
I
bit to that
agree.
recoil. So
I agree,
Like,
and I think
yeah.
people overestimate the value of tracking in this game when people die so quick. Like you're not
Yeah.
playing soldier in Overwatch, where you need to be like holding click on their head for like 30 seconds straight. Like that's people are dead in like less than a second. And so like when tracking isn't that valuable, it's more like flick shots and like very, very small time tracking. It's like even more important to like have balance like that.
yeah, and whoever
Yeah.
can zoom in
Like
faster just
basically,
yeah.
yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, basically every shooter out there has the amount of zoom that the weapon does tied to the range of the gun. Like, where just naturally long range weapons will zoom more, which makes total sense. Krunker is like the only exception to that rule that I'm aware of. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now we don't want to make Krunker not unique either, right? So
True. That's also
that's
true.
why we'll deal with it case by case and stuff like that. It'll be like long playtesting periods, I think, to like normalize it a little bit, get the community acclimated, and then get like unbiased feedback.
Yeah, so I know we talked a little bit about ranked earlier, so I guess this next segment can be kind of briefed. But I guess we talked a little bit about kind of like the vision with competitive Krunker. I know you had ranked in with that, but what's kind of like your guys' end goal with ranked? Like kind of like maybe a game that you guys are trying to target, or kind of have like the rank system in Krunker be like really unique or kind of like just completely different.
I don't think there's an end goal in making it really unique. I mean, the thing is like I don't know how unique you could make it compared to a lot of the games out there. I don't know if you guys play the finals. That's about as unique as it gets for me because it's like a totally unique game mode and tournament format, like ranked format. The right now we just want to make it work. Like that's it. Like it's pretty simple. There's a long period of time, probably a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks, where like we're just gonna need people to play and rank distribution is gonna be all over the place and you'll be diamond 1 minute and then gold the next and you're not going to understand why, and it's just because we need to see like where that rank distribution curve is in the community. Like there's so much of that stuff we have to figure out first. That's a bigger priority. Then then we can address like end game of ranked. Also we need to see how many people are queuing, right? Like and whether again, splitting queues or whatever is even viable in the first place for us. So it all kind of depends on how it's received. But there'll definitely be a lot of design decisions that go on in ranked in the future, in the near future as well. But just for now, like I said, we're going to be fairly boring about it. Like we just basically want comp games running in with a UI reflection and a fancy reward at the end of the season. Beyond that, maybe there's like a lot of unique angles we can do with challenges or different queue types or different special maps or events or tournament systems in the game or whatever that can make it unique. But for now, no, I don't think it's going to be too unique. It's going to be a pretty like traditional archetypal ranked system.
All right. And I guess, yeah, I mean, that's basically like what we've kind of heard the whole meeting. And I guess we can move to our final segment now before we start taking questions from everybody. And I guess maybe like some quality of life features. I know the comp community specifically mentioned to you about like the fact that like, wanting to ping players out, which might help your teammates in a ranked environment, or just any
Yep.
like cool things like that that make Krunker unique. So,
Yep, we will do that. Pinging will exist in ranked games. I don't know if it will be out in ranked like season 8 launch, but it's coming in hot. Again, that already exists in a different version of the game, so we'll do that. That is because, full disclaimer, we're not going to have voice chat at launch, which is probably for the best, knowing the Krunker community. So that means that you guys need to communicate somehow, and we're not going to want people fucking, having to type in the middle of their game. And so pinging is absolutely mandatory. Then, based on after that, we'll probably have to revisit the in-game voice chat implementation. The thing is with in-game voice chat at the moment is it doesn't work too great. And if we have a native client, like if ranked sits behind a native client in the future, then we have a lot more capability when it comes to like ingraining in voice chat systems and stuff. Like if for example, someone's playing on a browser or a third party client, like they can just lock that feature out and there's nothing we can do about it. Like if the PC7 devs decide they want to control voice chat, they can. There's shit all we can do about it, you know what I mean? So that we can't have that interfering with ranked games. I don't think they would, but that's the sort of thing we're looking at. And so we need a first party client for that before we start talking about features like that. And then
Can I ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
I think like speaking for like a lot of people here, but can we bring back like the chat, like the global chat, and just make it like a different keybind or something to talk in like local chat and global chat? Because we used to be able to see every message, and now we're all like locked in our own team. But sometimes it would be cool to still have global chat for everyone.
You're talking about like team chat versus all chat, right?
Yeah. So
DM me and I'll write it up.
Yeah, I believe
I'm getting hated on. My bad.
I think Tom wants to flame the enemy team.
I like that stuff personally. I mean, like, it's probably going to be a nightmare for people moderating, but that's part of what makes the game inherently more competitive, right? Is like if you let people beef each other in all chat. So I'm totally okay with
that. Yeah, like it will obviously lead to a whole new can of worms, which is like making sure things don't get too toxic.
Yeah, I'd probably just.
I agree that like having a little bit of banter between enemy teams is like an important part of gaming, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, and I was kind of curious, do we expect to see like a lot more features to like, I guess this is my personal question before we go into other stuff. Do we expect to see a lot more features with the scoreboard? Like in Faceit, you gotta see players' accuracy and you gotta see like really like neat statistics and stuff at the end game result.
Yes.
Okay.
Not on launch, like not on beta launch, but yes, like by the time we release ranked to V1, definitely. Statistics is something we're getting a lot better at in general because the games like weren't even recording match history before, and it's something we care a lot about, and it's something we want to give like developers access to as well. So in-game stats and stuff is super important to me personally. Like, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's also important to chart. Like the more stats we track, the better we can do balance changes and balance decisions. So
there's no
we
reason
want
not
to
to
track.
give them to you as well, right? Like in UI. So.
Yeah. It's like we want to track as much as we can, and like show it to you guys. Yep.
All right, well, I guess we'll head into our final segment before we don't keep you guys for too long. And I guess if you guys wanna speak and have your questions, just request the players that are more familiar in the scene. I'll probably invite you guys first. So, okay, it looks like Clixie wants to ask a question, so I'll invite Clixie up.
Okay. I hope it's not about when he gets free premium for being a content creator.
Oh no, that's not it. I have 4 questions actually. So the first one comes from Sparksy. I've seen a lot of people writing that down in the chat. If in the comp scene, if like clans have any benefit or like just a reason to be in it, because like back then there was like a clan war and you had like stuff that you were able to get. And now you're not really able to do anything in clans than just communicate with them. So is there going to be anything new coming up for clans?
Not in the next couple of months, but yes, clans will be looked at big time. We've already started discussing it a lot and kind of where that can sit in this year. And so we'll, clans will be definitely looked at. I don't know how that looks at the moment, right? Like that's up to game designers to decide on, but the whole 9 yards and everything going forwards with features will also have to be now, thanks to us, reflected in ranked as well. So yeah, for sure is the answer to that. But I don't have a date. Like it's not going to be season 8.
So main stuff right now is comp, I guess. Is there going to be a pick system like we have in KPC and NEC, or is there just going to be like a random kind of like designated team that you get in, like based off the matchmaking, or is it like
It's matchmaking based.
pick
Yeah,
system?
like it depends on the distribution of the players in your lobby, and
Okay.
it's going to be as balanced as possible on either side. I don't believe that Krunker has any particular, like this side has a higher win rate than this side, or where the first spawn points are in a game, for example, if it influences win rate a lot or not. So for now, it's just going to be it's like ranked distribution. Like if you've got arbitrary numbers, right? But if you're 2,000 MMR and you've got a 1,500 MMR player in your team, then we're going to have to make sure that those numbers add up to a similar side on the other side. That sort of thing. It doesn't really work like that. I've made like a completely simplified that, but yeah, it's purely ranked distribution at the moment. You're not going to like draft players, for example, like KPC and NEC do.
That's good to know. And 2 more things. You said that you're able to like pick any character that you want, so there are not going to be any bannable like classes. For example, you're able to play like infiltrator. And what are you going to do for the trollers that like abuse those kind of classes? Are there like going to be like KPD reviewing the games if you like report a
KPD will, yes.
like
we've called KPD already, me and Leo, and given them a rundown on everything to expect. We're probably going to have to feel that out a little bit. I would imagine that for the next for the following weeks after, we'll probably be getting patches to ranked like every day. So if we see these problems pop up, we'll address them.
Okay, that's nice. All right, that was it from my side. Thank you very much.
I just want to address one thing quickly, because I believe this was part of your question, and also I've seen this asked a bunch in chat. Yeah, so like I said before, not all classes are available in the first implementation of Ranked. We are following the same setup that you guys are using in your internal comp games, right? And yes, classes will be picked. Like there's the class draft system. I think Glenn had already said this before, but maybe it didn't got through. So yeah, you'll be picking your classes, and only the ones that like are currently in a healthy state for comp games will be able to be played.
All right, I think ceaf, I believe Web has a question. I'll like Web up. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, so I would like to ask for the class picking, Like if two people wants to play the same class, how do you're gonna decide which one gets it? Is it gonna be like elo based or speed based?
For now, it'll be whoever clicks it first. There might be like a pick order in the future. I don't know. If you've got feedback on that stuff, let us know though, because that stuff could absolutely change before like the main production iteration of the game. So if you feel particularly strongly that it should be like drafted, then let us know.
I think it should be drafted based on elo, but it's only
Yeah.
personal opinion.
I mean, the thing is you completely shut out like low rank players, right? That are just trying to climb, or people that have a particular affinity or main one class. So it's a bit of a sensitive topic. But either just let Asokra know or DM me, and we can look into that stuff.
I can already tell you that as someone that has played ranked mode before, that had that setup where the player with
First
highest
pick.
elo was the first to pick,
Yeah.
that was incredibly toxic.
Yep.
And we would often lead to a situation where basically, like, if you are the first player to pick, you know that every player in your team is worse than you, which is a highly demotivating factor for ranked games. Yeah, so it would probably have to be randomly assigned rather
I
than
can just
reflecting the
imagine
FRVR.
like a Valorant game where everyone's first picking a duelist and it just completely sucks. So yeah, I don't know about that, but I do like value draft systems for sure. I
Yeah,
just don't know
I
how
think
those systems
yes.
would have to work to make it work in Krunker. So for now, it's more like you just pick your fucking shit straight out of the gate, right? So it'll just be
Yeah.
whoever clicks there first. But it is beta. This is why like we're emphasizing a lot that it's beta, because that's definitely like open to change.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna invite ceaf up. All right, ceaf.
Yo, so I have two questions. Apparently, I've been pressured into asking one of them, which is, will there be chaos/skin prices during the rank beta?
Yes, there's going to be a skin. I'm not sure how it gets distributed yet. It's going to be made by Arbiter and Sage's team. We've asked them to make a ranked skin for it. One ranked skin. So I know you guys are used to like ranked seasons in the past, having like one skin per rank. It's not going to be how it is this time. It might be in the future, but for beta, I was just like, hey, can you whip out one skin as a reward? Now, it won't be tradable. No, that defeats the entire point of it. And then on top of that, it might be something you achieve after getting a certain rank. Or if you've played a certain amount of ranked games or whatever. So it won't be a high bar for the people in KPC and NAC for sure. Like you'll all probably get it, but there will be a ranked reward, yeah. And going forwards, there'll be probably a lot more ranked rewards.
That's cool. My next question, I don't know if you guys have already talked about this, but will we be seeing any new maps in the rotation eventually? And please don't mention Lashper.
Eventually, yeah. Eventually, yeah. But the thing is with maps is like they don't fall under the same category of map makers as like normal casual maps, right? Like you need to. There's a lot more work that goes into them. And engaging with those map makers is something we're still doing. So if you are a comp map maker, I'd love to hear from you. But the right now it's just going to be the main comp rotation that's currently active. But then in the future, yeah, for sure there'll be changes. And there might be changes in the future where we let people queue for maps, right? Like, it honestly just depends on the numbers we see.
Okay, sorry. On the topic of the maps only being in the ones that are in the current rotation, like, what are your thoughts on maps such as like Lumber and Bureau, which give lots of people FPS issues? Like, for me personally, I get crazy input lag on like Lumber. It's like unplayable for me. So, yeah.
I would love to know why, so let me know and we can look into it. Those are
think-
probably
I
like
think-
underlying issues that need to be fixed as opposed to like just cutting them out of the rotation, right? So
Yeah, like
Right.
regarding that, I think that's a better question I think Sage can kind of answer. I know a lot of the new maps since 2022 have had a lot more background textures. Like if you go into Lumber right now, there's just a bunch of trees that are just behind the map that like you can't even go to, but those trees just like decrease your FPS by 200, right? I think they're
We can
just
talk to him, but the thing is like a lot of that stuff is like we're not giving map makers enough tooling to like pick a level of detail for settings and stuff, right? Like they need that to be able to like cull the foliage or whatever, right? In settings. So that's a like a technical constraint we can definitely patch. If you could ceaf, if you could DM me the list of maps you have problems with and what those problems are, I'd love to get them looked at.
It's quite literally only, well, for me, it's quite literally only Bureau and Lumber. I think a lot of people in the chat may also have problems on these maps. They get like input lag. I don't know if they're gonna say anything right now, but yeah.
Then
Also,
I
can
would
I
say
just
we would look at fixing them instead of like removing them, right?
can I just quickly ask? I'm kind of afraid to ask this. Like, what's the whole deal with Lush? Like, is it
It's
just a very
a
divisive map or something?
The community's not had a new comp map in a while. It's a community-made map that people like a lot.
Okay.
Some people are torn because, I don't know, they don't want a new map or they don't like it. And some people love it. So it's kind of just... It's the first time they've play tested on it and stuff, right? Like they've ran comp games on it. But it's like the only taste of a new comp map the community's had in a long time. So that's why it's such a big topic.
I could, Krunkie, I could give you like DM you like an kind of in depth like what my problems are with the map.
I think the thing
like
is, though,
I don't.
like I don't want to cut you off.
You opened with no Lush,
this.
please.
Yeah,
Sure.
I do want to just like not cut you off, Steve, but it is like a very like controversial like map in some ways. Like there's some top players that like it, some top players that don't. I'll say this right now, a couple players that are in this chat that really like maps like Site and Industry used to hate on that map when we only had Sandstorm and UG. So I do think maps are something that it's very controversial, right? So I think that might be the one aspect where I would say I think the devs, I think you guys, if you guys really like a map, I think the community will just eventually just get used to it. So,
Yeah, like all I can say on that topic is that like my personal belief is that the map quality is extremely important for a game like this. Yeah, so we're definitely gonna have to look into that eventually, but I cannot promise you that's gonna be soon. And to Lush specifically, like we can look into it and see like why does the community not like it? Like what's the current problems with them? We might take a look on that eventually.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I was mostly curious. Thank you.
Yep.
we have any more questions? We'll look at this question in chat real quick and then we'll move on to Hehe. So, 123 man 123 has asked if MMR gain loss will be based on like performance. So like, let's say you lose a game but you drop like 80 kills and you have like the most objective. Will you still lose elo or will you gain elo?
Yeah. For now, it's win or loss. Which, by the way, I'm sure this will upset a lot of people. That does work out in all ranked games, by the way. I do want performance-based things, but the thing is like, I don't know, man. Like, do you deserve to get MMR if you couldn't carry your team, or if like dropping kills all the time, for example, doesn't mean you played the best? Like, what about objective score? Vice versa, if you got high objective score, like maybe you stayed on point instead of pushing for like the next reset or whatever. So there's too much to it. Like Valve tried this back in the like international 3-2 time of Dota 2, where they like said that for ranked they were going to have like performance based like rank distribution and MMR gain, and they like removed it a week later. So I don't know. It like never works out. The thing is like at the end of the day, it's a team game, and if your team lost, you probably deserve to lose. Now, obviously, there's outliers to that, but over the course of n amount of games, it works itself out, right? Like, there's a lot of people that'll blame their team for things, but like over the course of 100, 500, 1,000 games or whatever, like you are where you're at for a reason, and there will be people that will be able to like. The top players in the world, for example, will absolutely be able to hop on a new account and go straight to the max rank, right? Like they're not going to struggle. Like it happens in all ranked games. So It'll be performance based in that like winning or losing comes down to your personal performance. Now, when you're playing any ranked game, you can't look at it on a micro level. Like you can't look at the 3 games you just played today. It has to be over the course of where you sit over like 100 games or more. So bear that in mind. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we do make changes to that in the future, but for now it's just win and loss. I would love like real performance based ranked distribution, but like there's so many questions, and if you like really sat there like thinking about it with a team of people, like you'll be talking about it for hours on like what warrants high performance versus low performance in a given meta on a given map, a given like season or whatever, right? There's too many variables at play. So for now it's just win or loss, and then hopefully, and this is what we're going to patch during beta, hopefully that rank distribution works itself out and you end up where you're at based on how good you are personally. But yeah, I don't know. For now, it's probably just going to stay as win and loss for a decent time.
Yeah. What I can add to that is that like, if we ever do anything that's performance based, it will almost 100% sure that we will never lead to a scenario where you can gain rank by losing a game. Like the most that could happen is like if you lost a game but you performed significantly better than everyone else on your team, you just lose less points, like rank points.
Yes, that's definitely could happen.
Yeah, that
like
could
if
happen.
You win,
like
if we can definitely build this in where like if you are like let's say placing, we don't have placements out of the gate, at least not visualized, but like let's say you are a lower MMR person and you're playing against a whole team that is higher MMR than you, then you would gain more MMR for winning against them. And you would lose less for losing against them. Because we don't want to give people complete punishment for just getting like stomped, right? So yeah, that's a good point you raised. Thanks.
Yeah, but that's already a thing in the current system, right?
Yeah,
like, that's just how the nature of the like elo base or like MMR base is more whatever you want to call it works.
Yep.
So.
Right. I extended an invite out. If you Yep. All right, welcome Hee.
Hello, Glen. I actually have 2 questions in my mind. First question is about hitbox. Like you have mentioned about the hitbox, is it going to be accurate? So, I mean, if people aim on the hitbox, would it be super accurate or just a bit accurate?
It's on the model at the moment. You can ask the chat because a lot of them have play tested it already, what they think. But it is on the model, and if you check the announcements in KB and I think KPC and NAC have reposted as well, you'll see the visualization for it. There is one exception, which is when you're moving, they slightly they grow a little bit. There's like some compensation, and that's already implemented in the hitbox stuff at the moment. There's a playtest for it this weekend. So if you keep an eye out on the server notifications, Asokra posts announcements every now and then.
Second question is that.
Yeah, what's up?
My second question is about spectator mode, because yesterday Gusi sent a clip of Borak that he was like aiming super crazy, but while I was watching his ward, he was playing normally. So would you be working on spectator mode?
Yep, spectating sucks. It's definitely going to get looked at. Not soon though,
because
it's like a long-term vision.
Because
a desynchronization problem with spectator mode. Sorry to cut you off.
All right, well.
No, continue, please.
No, that was all. Like we are aware that there's a desynchronization problem with spectator mode at the moment. That we're aware of it. We'll eventually look into it. It's like Glenn said, something that we want to improve over time. Does spectator experience?
People have been given feedback as well on what they want in spectator mode. So like fixed camera positions, statistics in game. Like we hear it.
And one of the questions that Savage is asking that will smurfing will be bannable on new rank system?
Yeah, I believe it will be TOS. But the thing is we need to make sure that people don't have a reason to smurf. The reason smurfing became popular in the first place back in the olden days on Warcraft 3 was because queue times were fucking long. And so that's hopefully something we want to address. is that queue times aren't that problematic. People can actually get in games. Now, there's obviously going to be people that smurf just so that they can walk all over people. But the thing is that should also be inherently solved by the rank distribution and the MMR system. It should pick up fairly quickly if you're just walking all over people and kind of like propel you into games your level. So I'm
And
hoping they get
what
addressed
about
by
anti-cheat
surrounding
in
systems.
rank system?
Anti-cheat is something we acknowledged in the announcement. It's coming as the main priority post the Season 8 beta launch. But there's a huge topic, man. Like, there's so much stuff to talk about anti-cheat, but it is definitely like up there as a maximum priority, like post-beta. You basically see it as we'll be iterating on ranked to make it work better, and then at the same time starting to work on anti-cheat.
Okay.
Yeah, like we will never be able to have like a proper ranked environment without having anti-cheat, right? Because if we don't do that, then all the high ranked players will just be cheaters. So that's obviously a high priority.
All right. I think we'll move on to AdsLord now, and then after AdsLord, I think DrEvil would like to speak. So.
Yep. All right.
Hello.
Yeah.
So I had a few questions. So first thing about premium, we can buy premium with real money right now in game. Are we gonna be able to buy it with KR or in-game currency soon?
No. It used to be, but the thing is that you could regain your KR that the premium cost in like the first 20 minutes of playing with premium.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that's part of the economic like imbalance of the game, right? Like that there's no hard and soft currency. Like it creates so many problems. But no, premium should be premium. It shouldn't be. I mean, like we'll see, right? Like maybe there's a different feature set you can get by syncing KR into something. But when I'm talking about premium, for one, the current premium feature set shouldn't stay the same. Like it's all going to change. I don't know if you know, but like half the premium features you can't even use if you're under like level 15. So like they don't even make sense for half the players, and the other half are just basically to cover like server costs that don't cost anything. So we're gonna relook at all of that. But there might be like a case where there's a KR sync for like additional benefits, and maybe it's I don't know like premium light or something. And I'm just chatting shit now though. Like we've not really discussed too much of that. For now though, premium is not going to go back to KR.
All right. So another question was, if you disconnect or you have to leave during a ranked game, are you going to be able to rejoin easily?
Yes. We worked on reconnecting strategies last week, and it is maximum priority for us. We're obviously aware that servers aren't perfect yet still, and that there's a lot of underlying problems in the game. A lot of this might carry over to casual stuff as well. But there are different circumstances of a disconnect. One is if you are AFKing, you're gone. Like, we're not interested in people that are AFKing every game or like deliberately griefing. But if it's a sincere disconnect, or you close tab by accident or whatever, like because for now it's going to be available in browser as well, or your client crashes and that's out of your control because it's a third-party client or whatever, you can reconnect. Yes.
And Web is asking if there's going to be the ability to like pause the game.
Sorry, before you answer that, and just add a thing to the previous question. Another important detail is that if for some reason at the start of the ranked match, some players do not connect like ever, the match won't start. So like you will never have to start the ranked match in like a one player down scenario. Like the game will be cancelled.
Yeah. And regarding pausing, no, we're not going to allow pausing in ranked games for now because of they make no sense in solo queue ranked games, basically, right? Like they it's not a scrim, and it's not like a real comp game. It's like it's a solo queue ranked. Maybe we add them in the future. But...
I'm getting spammed in DMs for requests, but any plans on how the maps are going to be selected in ranked? Like, are we going to ban and pick, or
it's
is
purely
it
random? There's no ban and pick at the moment. We're not doing map drafts for beta. We might add map drafts in the future, or we might add map-based queuing in the future, but for now it's random.
Alright, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
And DrEvil, you're already up here, I guess.
Well, so I got two questions. So right now there's like tons of settings like the ADS, FOV, and like more gameplay settings that people can freely edit. but I feel like those should be like managed by the game itself. I know you guys mentioned like the sniper ADS could be forced by you, but I'm talking more in general. Because like if you look at major titles like Valorant and Fortnite and other just big games, most of the settings are just not editable. Like it's just graphics, key bindings, and like audios.
We agree,
like,
right? Like we agree, but the problem is it's so ingrained in Krunker culture. And also, like you always have these problems where we're a web game and third-party clients are so big and playing on browser is so big that you would be able to change it with a client. So it's a hard thing to determine how to enforce. We're going to talk to third-party client devs around ranked specifically and how settings and stuff like that play a factor in ranked and what we want to. Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole conversation when it comes to third-party clients, but yeah, we don't disagree, but we always have to tread really carefully when it comes to settings and stuff because it's like so ingrained in community. Like people get upset if you change stuff.
So the other question is, will skins as a whole be disabled in comp? Like I've seen lots of decent players mention the fact that like skins with custom sounds and like excessive skins in general are just pretty annoying to have.
They won't, but we've acknowledged that there are some like sounds shouldn't be emitted by the server, for example, like they should be client only. And then there's obviously like a question of competitive advantage skins. Now, Krunker has some pretty distracting skins. So this sort of depends though on where we want rank to be and how serious we do and how serious comp players are at the top. But even like the best, like the biggest comp games in the world have skins that are banned explicitly in like official games or skins people take in solo queue because they have certain competitive advantages, whether that's like certain skills not being super visible or whatever. This kind of brings us full circle back to like the accessibility settings we were talking about before. But yeah, that sort of stuff really depends. If, for example, we see that during ranked games, like everyone's using a particular skin all of a sudden, then like for competitive reasons, then either those skins have to be looked at or we'll have to make some sort of ruling, or maybe it's just not that much of a problem and we don't care. But they will be available, that's for sure.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, like, if there's a problem where certain skins make the game experience like a lot worse, then the solution is not to like remove skins from the game, right? The solution is to fix the problematic ones and make sure they stop ruining the experience. We would. I've already asked before to some members of the community to like just give us a list, tell us which skins are problematic, tell us their names, and we will try to fix them. It will probably not happen, or almost certainly will not happen in season 8, but it's something that we have to work into eventually. So if you guys tell us which skins are problematic, it will just speed up the process.
I think we will do. I think we'll have ceaf speak again, and I think that will conclude us. So I did realize the questions are getting repetitive, just like it happened last town hall. So if anybody missed any segment of this, like when we talked about things like level caps, or like any things about smurfing or all of that, we're gonna have like a video out on the NAC channel and the KPC channel. And we're gonna have like I'm obviously streaming this too. You guys can watch my VOD back too. So we will have all of that in detail there. So I mean, you guys are taking time out of your weekend to come. I don't want you guys to keep getting asked the same questions. So, well,
yep.
Yep.
Apparently my voice cracked earlier on, so make sure you edit that in post, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Cheers, bro.
Hello again. Okay, so I saw someone in chat ask quite an interesting question, and it's will I get my elo back if I lost to someone who was cheating and they got banned later?
Rolling back MMR. Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely part of beta. We'll have to see. We did speak about like if KPD get called into a game and they are banned or removed out of that game whilst it's playing, like what we do about that, or if they're tagged during that game. And yeah, I think we just nullify it to begin with, and we refund MMR, or it wouldn't count as a loss to begin with, so there would be nothing to refund. That's normal as well. There's plenty of games that have to get remade in comp games. I mean, it happens in in pretty much all comp games. There are reasons that those games get remade or nullified. So we see the same thing happening. But the thing is, with Krunker in particular, it's like, what the hell do we do when KPD steps up? Like, and now it's a 4v3 or whatever. So we'll see. But this is the stuff like where we're going to work with KPD on the KPD logic of that, and then if it's like just straight up like an unattended game cheat or whatever, then like for example KPD don't pick it up and someone's just straight up cheating and whatever, we'll see how it gets picked up with anti-cheat and stuff going forwards. This is the exact point we're doing this in beta. Like this is the entire reason, is because we need to see what we should do, right? Like, and I don't think there's a particular right answer. I don't believe in refunding MMR. I believe in preventing the issue flat out. But if we can't do that, maybe there's a shorter term alternative we can do to make people happy.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you guys obviously for the beta aren't having an anti-cheat, so like something like this would, I'm just saying, something like this would be very nice. Because
Yeah, we're
if
relying a
people
lot on KPD at the start. I'm gonna be honest, the first week or so of ranked is probably going to be quite miserable for people. I hope we can patch it really quick, but between KPD getting us set it, like figuring it out, and then figuring out the rank distribution, like you're going to have the best players in the world queuing against the worst players in the world, and that's not going to be good. And then people are going to have to just play their way out of their ranks because we're not releasing with like beta with placements, and so it's going to be a bit rocky. But this is kind of the entire point of it being in beta, is that we'll iterate on this as soon as possible based on whatever problems we see popping up.
Right. I can hear your voice starting to give up, so I'm just gonna ask one more question. And it's, so there's been some clients that have come out, such as Glorp and a new update on C++, and basically these clients like allow you to like almost double your frames in game, which
Yep, I'm
would be
aware.
like, and so I'm just thinking like, like these kind of will we see these kind of optimizations in the rank client that's being worked on?
Yeah, for sure. I've actually been pushing. I would be surprised if there's a third-party client dev you can reach out to, which I didn't say to do this to 3 years ago. I've been telling all the third-party client devs, or at least the ones that talk to me in KB and such, to do the exact changes they've made for 3 years now. Like, it is a very easy change to make, let's put it that way. Like, it's really just like a tech decision. We would not make... We would be going in a similar direction, most likely, yes. We wouldn't have to worry about that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
See you later.
All right, well, thank you, ceaf, for ending us off here, and I'd like to thank you, Glenn and Krunkie, again for taking time out of your weekend to come answer a bunch of questions by the community, answering some of the same questions a little bit over and over, but again, appreciate it, and I hope also that you guys have also got a better idea of what the Krunker Comp community kind of wants, and kind of like how you guys can align your team with Krunker and with Krunker Comp especially. So I appreciate you guys taking time out, and if you guys have any closing remarks, anything you want